Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be taking a look at the ThreatVision threat intelligence platform. Its tagline is a portal to see through the chaos. And honestly, in a world where cybersecurity news feels like this just constant storm, that phrase really hits home. I mean, seeing through the chaos is exactly what every CISO, every security team is just desperate for.
It's a great mission statement, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
the core problem in security today, it isn't the lack of data,
No.
not at all. It's the tsunami of useless data. You're just drowning in information overload,
Yeah.
and it hides the real signals.
Yeah.
So an effective threat intelligence platform, or a TIP, it has to filter, it has to contextualize, and it has to deliver only the stuff you can act on. And that's really the foundation of ThreatVision.
And it's built on a pretty specific foundation, from what I understand.
It is. It's built on over 20 years of hyper-focused threat research, specifically within the Asia-Pacific region, APAC.
20 years in one region. I mean, that creates a depth of knowledge that's got to be hard to replicate.
Exactly. We're talking about a platform that specializes in understanding not just general malware, but the whole playbook of these sophisticated, advanced, persistent threat groups, the APTs.
Yeah.
The ones driving, espionage and intellectual property theft.
Okay, so this isn't just about collecting data points.
No. It's about creating a structured, focused view of that specific threat landscape. The sources really emphasize that their goal is high-quality, precise intelligence that strengthens regional defenses. And to make sure they're catching threats right at the beginning, they're constantly pulling intelligence from the deep and dark web.
So they're spotting risks before they even surface.
Right. They're seeing those early discussions among cybercriminal groups.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because when we talk about the sheer scale, the numbers are, well, they're massive. We're talking 6 million indicators of compromise IOCs, over 26 million malware samples, tracking 2,900 types of malware, and mapping over 280 specific adversaries. But here's the question that comes to my mind. If some huge global platform boasts, say, 100 million IOCs, how does ThreatVision justify that smaller, more focused set? Is quality really better than volume here?
That's a crucial question, and the answer is yes. In cyber intelligence, quantity very often just equals noise. If you have 100 million IOCs from all over the world, probably 99% of them aren't relevant to your operations in, say, Tokyo or Singapore.
Okay, I see.
ThreatVision's argument is that their 6 million IOCs and their 26 million samples are highly relevant, they're curated, and they're contextualized for threats active in the APAC region. Think of it like a scalpel versus a shovel.
A scalpel, I like that.
Yeah, they know exactly which of those 280 adversaries are actually a threat in that sphere. They let you prioritize your resources, which are always scarce.
That focus on relevance, it points directly to what I think is the biggest internal challenge in security today. The CISO, the security ops team, and the analyst at the firewall. They all speak different languages. They all need different things.
They absolutely do. And that's why the platform is architected around 3 distinct levels of intelligence. You try to give the technical data to the executive, their eyes just glaze over. You give only a strategic overview to the analysts, and they can't do their jobs. It's an organizational problem.
So ThreatVision segments the view to solve that. Let's start at the top then. Strategic intelligence. This is for the CISO, the decision makers. So it has to be digestible, focused on risk, right?
Precisely. This is the so what intelligence. Strategic intelligence, it strips out all the technical jargon, the IOCs, the code details, and instead gives you a high-level view that links cyber threats directly to business impact.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. So if a threat group is actively targeting companies using the same ERP system you use, the CISO needs to know that this represents a $50 million risk, not just that some new malware is out there. This kind of intelligence informs strategy. It dictates where the budget goes.
So it really prevents that friction where the security team says we need 10 million and the CEO just says why?
It completely bridges that gap.
Yeah.
Yes. So moving down a level, we get to operational intelligence. This is for your security teams, your risk managers, the people planning the response.
And what do they need? What kind of details?
This is where we get into the adversary's playbook, the tactics, techniques, and procedures, the TTPs. Instead of just saying a phishing attack happened, operational intel tells you how they do it. A TTP set might specify, the tactic is initial access. The technique is a malicious attachment through LinkedIn. And the procedure is they always use a specific file format and target HR on Tuesday mornings.
Wow, that's specific.
That's specific.
Yeah.
Knowing the TTPs lets you harden your defenses and tailor your detection rules before the attack even hits. It's proactive.
And then the front lines. tactical intelligence. This is for the people actually blocking packets.
This is pure, actionable technical data. It delivers those specific IOCs, the IP addresses, domain names, file hashes, that can be plugged right into a firewall or a detection system. So by breaking it down into these three layers, everyone from the exec to the analyst gets exactly what they need without being overwhelmed.
That structure is smart. But let's get into what really sets this platform apart. We've touched on the decades of APAC expertise, but let's press on that. Why is that geographic focus so critical?
Well, it comes down to the geopolitical drivers. The APAC region isn't one single threat environment. It's incredibly complex. You have very national interests, deep-rooted regional conflicts, and this intense focus on specific targets, like finance and manufacturing.
So a generic global feed would miss that nuance.
It would completely miss it. It'll flag global ransomware, sure, but it won't understand the specific attack vectors that a state-sponsored group from one country favors when targeting, say, a diplomatic entity in another. ThreatVision provides that essential context, that layer. It lets you defend against attacks that are basically invisible to generic models.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. It's not just the what, it's the strategic why. And that leads to the second big factor. Full attack context. They reconstruct the motive.
That correlation is the real intelligence leap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not enough to find a server beaconing out or to identify a piece of malware. You have to connect that malware back to a known adversary and, crucially, understand their motive, their long-term objective.
And knowing the motive lets you anticipate what's next.
That's it. If a group known for political espionage suddenly hits a supply chain firm, you can predict the motive is probably supply chain compromise, not just a quick payday. It turns a pile of raw data into a strategic defensive story.
That's the difference between seeing a broken window and realizing the person who broke it was going for the server room, not the cash register. On a practical level, though, how fast is this? Integration and speed are always the pain points.
They emphasize speed, yeah. For incident response teams, they offer what they call precise threat analysis. You can submit a suspicious file, and they'll rapidly analyze it, see if it maps to any known threat in their huge sample library.
And for getting this data into your own systems, it has to be automated, right?
Absolutely. The platform is API ready. This means you can easily connect ThreatVision with your existing SIEM or other intelligence platforms. So the moment a new flash report drops, those new IOCs are instantly checking against your internal logs. No manual lag.
Okay, let's turn to the actual deliverables. The reports. I see they're broken into three main categories: APT intelligence, vulnerability, and then cyber policy and events.
It's a comprehensive approach.
Yeah.
Let's start with Category A, the APT intelligence. This tracks those sophisticated adversaries.
First up is the flash report. Twice a week? That sounds purely tactical.
It's exactly that. The flash reports focus on the absolute latest attack incidents. They provide the techniques and the immediate IOCs for rapid deployment. It's for the analyst at the keyboard who needs to block something right now.
And you contrast that with the monthly report. This one sounds more strategic.
Correct. The monthly reports zoom out. They summarize the overall APT dynamics for the whole previous month. And the key value here is how they directly link geopolitical situations to attack behaviors. You can actually trace how an international incident drives specific cyber actions. This is what a CISO uses to brief the board.
And then the heavy hitters, the campaign tracking reports, or CTRs, 8 per year.
The CTRs are the deep dives, in-depth analyses of specific high-priority threat groups. They dissect everything, the group's tactics, their targets, how they're evolving. It includes 6 dedicated adversary analyses and 2 huge semi-annual threat landscape reviews. That guides your long-term planning.
Okay, moving to Category B, vulnerabilities, a constant headache for every team. You've got the vulnerability insights reports, VIRs, biweekly.
The VIRs are all about quality over quantity. They pick one critical vulnerability at a time, the one posing the highest immediate risk. And they provide detailed technical intelligence, attack scenarios, detection tools. They don't just give you the CVE number. They tell you how you'll be exploited and how to find it.
That's incredibly valuable. Then there's the patch management reports, PMRs weekly, compiling up to 100 high-risk vulnerabilities. That's a lot to process.
It is, but the PMRs are there to solve the prioritization problem. When you have a massive patching backlog, you need to know which ones are being actively weaponized right now. These reports include proof of concept, PQC, details. That helps organizations triage their patching schedule and fix the most critical things first.
And finally, Category C, geopolitics and cybercrime. This highlights that dual risk we all face.
It does. The geopolitics part is covered by the Cyber Affairs biweekly reports. These offer really specific intelligence. focusing on the cyber capabilities of China and news from the Chinese-speaking online world.
And the cybercrime site is built on that dark web monitoring you mentioned.
Yes, the CC reports. This series is all about financially motivated threats. You get monthly reports on cybercrime campaigns and then super frequent updates, at least 4 a month, on forum activities and ransomware activities. It's constant vigilance against those money-making attacks.
And all that reporting turns into immediate use through the supporting tools. Let's quickly differentiate the kinds of IOCs they offer.
They segment them clearly. APT IOCs are for those persistent, state-sponsored attacks, like espionage. They need careful, long-term monitoring. Cybercrime IOCs are for the large-scale smash-and-grab stuff like phishing. Those require immediate flocking. Knowing the difference helps you tailor your defense.
And for the analysts who want to go looking for trouble, you've got threat hunting tools.
Absolutely. These give you the analyst-designed rules you need to scan your own environment and accelerate investigations. Helps you find things that automated systems might have missed.
And finally, a feature that sounds almost like a consulting service, request for information, RFI.
The RFI is great. It means you don't have to wait for a report. If you're worried about a specific vulnerability or you think you're being targeted, you can request tailored research on it. It lets you build a highly focused defense against a threat that might be unique to you.
So when you put it all together, what does it all mean? The platform seems designed to cover both bases: the slow-burn strategic threats, the APTs, and the immediate financial threats like ransomware.
And crucially, it all flows through a system that supports every level of the organization. You get that streamlined intelligence, strategic, operational, and tactical, all combined with the specialized APAC expertise and dark web monitoring. It's about delivering tailored context, not just a mountain of raw data.
Right. It's clear the real value is in marrying that strategic insight with the technical detail. You don't just know what to block, you understand why you're blocking it.
Precisely. And that, I think, brings us to our final thought for you to consider. Given how deeply these monthly reports link geopolitical situations to specific attack behaviors, how much of a strategic liability is it today for a security leader to focus only on the technical metrics, the hashes, the IPs, while ignoring the global political and economic motivations driving those actions? The moment you connect those cyber dynamics to broader world events, security stops being just a technical cost center. It becomes a critical part of strategic business planning.